Hey, congratulations, Bill, for the Pale Door.
Thank you, buddy. What's your name? I'm just sorry.
It's gig.
Oh, Gay. Gay. Hey. Yeah.
Hey. So what attracted you to a project like the Pale Door? Because I think it's a horror film. I thought it was a western at first, but it's a horror film. So and you don't do
Right.
a lot of too much horror, right?
I've got it. I appreciate. I really love and appreciate the genre. So when the right thing comes along, like We Are What We Are, you know, couple like Welcome to Willits and things like that. This was what attracted me to this was actually the women characters in it is they're supposed to be the antagonists, but they're given this amazing point of view. And what actually happens is the gang of outlaws stumble into the wrong town and end up getting what's coming to them, you know. That so right off the bat there's you've got something that's because we have Keith Lansdale and Joe Lansdale. So these guys understand that genre, they understand the authenticity. And so you're mixing something with a certain authenticity and and the horror fantasy,
Hmm.
you know. But it's it's got so it has this wonderful undercurrent of something. And that's what I love about horror is that you can take that anxiety and that genre and you can couch something very interesting in it, and you can bury it in there, and it's like this wonderful thing that people can, if they're available to it, they can open up this package and have an experience that's thoughtful and
Now,
fun.
it's still a western setting. Did you have to make any preparations to play your character for this film?
I mean, I already know how to ride a horse and that kind of stuff. Well, yeah, I mean the gun spinning thing that he does, I hadn't done before. So, you know, um, luckily I'm ambidextrous, so certain things like that, that was in my wheelhouse of something that could come easy. And I had Stan Shaw pointing me in the direction of Sammy Davis Jr., who, if you want to really watch the best gunslinging, you watch Sammy Davis Jr. So that's who I studied, and just kept breaking it down, and brought the gun back to my hotel room and practiced and practiced and practiced till my knuckles were bleeding on both ankles, and I had to build those calluses. So early on, I had to wear these band-aids, which we were sort of able to hide because I had torn my fingers up, just
Oh,
torn them up. Um, and but so within that first week, we shoot the train robbery. Within the first couple of days, as a matter of fact. So I had to nail the spin at the same time, the shot, pulling out, spinning, shooting, getting it back in. It always drives me crazy when I see in westerns where somebody shoots and then they look down at their holster. No,
yeah.
you can't look, especially on film. I mean, you got to put it back without looking. So that was practicing the spinning in both directions with both hands, and you know it looks easier than it is. But so I got lucky and nailed that one on the first take, because every subsequent take was a disaster. It was like, please tell me you get that first take. It goes, oh, the first take's great, these are just for safety. It's like, okay.
I I'm actually surprised you didn't talk to your fellow co-star Noah Sagan, who he because I remember interviewing him a long time ago, and he went to school just to twirl guns for the movie Looper when he actually did it. So
He
I'm
showed
actually
up. No, he showed up knowing what he was. He did the switch thing. That's true. He did break it down for me as well. Yeah, he was. That's right. That's right. Yeah, You know, that was a great cast. You get to be really close with those guys. Uh, Noah and I have stayed in touch. Everybody, you know, particularly Stan and I, Pat Healy, Zach. You know, Melora I'd worked with before. That was another thing. In reading it and knowing that she was going to be playing that, told me that they had the right idea for what they were doing with that story.
Hmm.
It wasn't by accident that um, they're the way they are, because you know, they they were part of the witch hunt. You know.
Hmm.
So.
Tell me about because there's one thing for me to watch it on film, but there's another thing to be on set. What did the witch creatures look like up close to you? Could you describe that?
Yeah, more horrific than I mean, it's amazing. They did an incredible job. Becky, what's her last name? God, Becky. Holy shit, they did an incredible job with. Well, we were all, you know, that set was, they built the town, so there wasn't really, you know, you didn't have a lot of other places to go. You just should sort of hang out where you could. Luckily, everybody got along, and you know, so we're right there with the witches. I mean, they're applying all this stuff. I mean, it's a lot of goo. It's a lot of. They were amazing. They were. I mean, they were stunt women. They were. Um, and it was fun. I mean, the wardrobe, and it was all very authentic Western stuff, and you know, I mean, it was really creative. James Whitecloud's daughter came,
Hmm.
his daughter, and you know, at first she was afraid of them, so we, you know, we got one of them to come over. So, and then she was just, I mean, she was only what, like 5 years old or something. She's just fascinated and looking at them, and touching different things, and you know, yeah, it was a really creative way to do these witches, you know, because then they end up appearing as they did when they were burned at the stake all those years ago.
Yeah,
So
I'm very impressed that they use practical effects for the witches, which is great.
yeah.
Uh, you also mentioned that they built the set. What was it?
Mhm.
What is this? Was it just a small set? On a lot somewhere.
Some of it was there. It's not a lot. It's just we're out in rural, outside of Oklahoma City, and like the church they built from the bottom up. I believe some of the other things were there from other shoots, possibly. Um, but it's yeah, I mean, it's you know, it was way out in the middle of nowhere.
Hmm.
There's really nothing else around there, you know.
What about the train scene? Well,
The
how did
train,
you pull that off?
that's an old depot of now it's a train museum. So they were kind enough to let us uh, use some of that. Yeah, that's an actual vintage train that they have, that is a working museum. So that train is, there were other trains that were outdoor. This is an indoor train, you know.
Mhm.
So it gave us complete control with light and everything, and yeah, that's an actual vintage train from, I don't know, like the, you know, like 1890s or something.
Could you talk about the challenges of doing nighttime shoots, because that's what I felt like most of this film was, that day rise was never going to come up for you guys.
That's right. Yeah, we knocked all that day stuff out in the beginning, as um, that's not my first rodeo with that. So um, I enjoy it, actually. It's this sort of, it's yeah, you know, when you're doing a night, kind of go into this. Are you? Can we hear? You can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I could hear you.
Okay. Yeah. You know, it's easier to go there. It's easier to go to that creative place, and you know, I mean, it's always. I mean, the hard part is then going home at the end. You know,
Mhm.
and you know, I have so many face masks from years of I mean, you know, generally on anything, there's going to be some amount of night shooting.
Mhm.
So, um, you know, you always begin with the days and you're ending the thing doing nights. So then you got to get back on schedule when you go home.
Excellent. I also noticed on the movie credits that you got associate producer credit, which is in it. That seems like your only associate producer credit. Why?
Oh, I've had others. I've had others. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, yeah. You know, yeah. I mean, I'm there to also make sure things go smoothly and that everybody gets along. You know, um, and which was easy. You know, um, I suppose I've been doing it for a while, so
Hmm.
they're happy to extend that.
You have such a long career for quite some time now. How do you choose your projects now these days?
I kind of like I said with this, if I would say that if the witches, if they didn't have a point of view, I wouldn't have been interested. You know, even with all the great people on board. But you know, I mean, I came last to the project, so um, there was a reason why that quality of actors and people were there. Um, so I tend to just it's based on story. You know, if I think the character has an interesting arc, or I think it serves some sort of some some purpose. You know, I mean, it's not. This is not one that I did for the money. This is I really liked Aaron, and I think a lot of Stan Shaw and Melora and Pat Healy and everybody. I mean, that I got to know once I was there.
Hmm.
Um, but I tend to uh, pick pick roles if I have that luxury based on, you know, if the protagonist has his flaws and an antagonist has his point of view. I would say I'm always looking for the dirty part of a protagonist and the flawed part of the flawed part of a protagonist and a real strong, the good part of an antagonist, no matter how bad they are.
Hmm.
Like what's their reason? And if the story doesn't hold that, then it's probably not worth doing.
Is this how you keep on basically keep on going with your acting career, trying to seek out these type of roles? That's where your passion is.
I think so. I think so. I think uh, you know, I haven't done it for the money. I mean, there's been certain paydays, but I do it for the well, for the love of it. But I do it for the story. You know, if the story um, is of interest. You know, I love working with women directors, so I'm always looking to do that too. I've worked with a lot of really outstanding female directors, so you know, we're coming into a time where we have a lot more working. That's good. Um, I'm getting ready to do another Hal Hartley film with me and Edie Falco
Oh,
and Robert John Burke and Parker Posey, and so we got a good cast going there. And that's an outstanding project. Great story. We're shooting one of the early things shooting in New York City.
oh wow! Oh, congratulations with that.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank
And
you.
just to wrap it up, I know times is these times is kind of, you know, very mercurial, very unpredictable. But
Yeah.
sometimes we have to always ask is how do you stay sane and creative during times like this?
Um, a lot of working out and a lot of uh, I do a bit of writing and um, spend a lot of time with my dogs, my dogs, my wife, my dogs.
uh,
Um, a lot. Read a lot of good books. So and to just try to stay as busy as possible. I mean, I did. Noah put me in touch with Karina Longsworth, who does the You Must Remember This podcast.
mhm.
And I was a huge fan of hers, and I discovered that how close he was to her when we were shooting, because she did this thing on Charlie Manson's Hollywood series called You Must Remember This. It's the history of Hollywood in the 20th century. Oh man, so I did the voice of Larry McMurtry, who wrote The Last Picture Show. This is about Paulie Platt,
Mhm.
the producer. I mean, she was really the secret weapon behind so much of Peter Bogdanovich's stuff, and James L. Brooks, and I mean, she's the invisible woman in Hollywood. As a matter of fact, it's called Hollywood's Invisible Woman,
Oh.
Paulie Platt,
Mhm.
and I highly recommend that. And then I've done other art narrations for artists from Norway and Denmark, and kind of been keeping busy.
Well, I'm glad you're keeping busy. Well, hey,
Thank
Bill,
you.
hey, thank you for speaking with me, and hopefully we get to do this again.
Absolutely, I would love to. Thank you so much.
Hey,
Great talking to you. All
not,
right.
thank you very much. Appreciate it. Bye now.
Bye bye.